Today's code. Most women will never understand themselves. You will. I'm Bella. Welcome to the Bella Code. Let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with it before you answer. Do you know which moment actually breaks a man? It's not the second he reads the strange message on her phone. It's the silence right after, when he realizes the woman he protected in front of the whole world, the woman he built a future with in his head, has been texting another man like his heart was something disposable. So what do? Do you punch a wall? Do you beg? Do you post one of those vague captions and wait for her to see it? Here's what I know after years of watching men walk through this fire. Most of them react wrong in the first 72 hours after they find out. And it's not the betrayal that destroys them for the next 5 years. It's that reaction, the bitterness, the sleepless nights comparing themselves to the other guy, slowly becoming the worst version of who they used to be. I'm a woman. I know exactly why we betray, and I'm going to tell you precisely what to do. Not to get revenge on her, but so she never has power over your soul again. There's a truth about betrayal that 95% of men get wrong, and that misunderstanding is what keeps them trapped in the pain. Before I take you any deeper, do me one small favor. Leave a comment and let me know where you're listening from. I just want to see where you are in the world while we have this conversation. Then settle in, because I'm about to share things most women would never say out loud. Here's the first thing nobody told you. When a woman betrays you, the damage isn't just to your heart, it's to your identity. You didn't lose her. You lost the version of yourself who believed he was safe in her presence. And that's a different kind of grief. A man doesn't fall in love the way a woman does. You don't open up because you feel a spark on a Tuesday night. You watch, you test, you pay attention to how she handles small things, how she talks about her ex, how she treats people who can't do anything for her. And only after months, sometimes years, do you finally decide, this is the woman I let inside. And once that gate opens, you give her something you don't give to your boys, your father, your business partners. You give her the soft version of yourself, the version that whispers things at 1 o'clock in the morning, the version that quietly imagines her holding your first child. Let me tell you something from my side of the room. We know the exact moment a man finally drops his armor. We feel it in his breath. We hear it in the way his voice slows down. And in that moment, every woman makes a choice. Some of us treat that gift like it's sacred. Others treat it like an option, like a backup plan they can keep in their drawer until something shinier comes along. So picture the moment you found out. The phone in your hand felt heavier than it should have. The air in the room got thick. The floor wasn't quite under your feet anymore. And the questions started circling like vultures. Did she ever love me? Was I blind this whole time? What did I miss? Now here's the cut you didn't see coming. You're not crying over her. You're crying over the story you built about her in your own mind. You buried a legend, not a girlfriend. You buried the woman she was supposed to be, not the woman she actually is. And that's why it hurts 10 times more than it should. If you don't understand this difference, you will spend the next several years of your life hunting for a ghost. You'll meet other women and quietly measure them against a version of her that never existed in the first place. You'll wonder why nothing fits. You'll mistake that emptiness for missing her when really you're missing a fantasy you authored alone. So before you let yourself spiral, hear me clearly. The woman you thought you knew was partly someone you invented. The pain isn't proof she was special. The pain is proof of how deeply you trusted, how completely you opened, how much of yourself you handed to one person without a backup plan for who you'd be if she dropped it. But there's a harder question waiting for you, and I'm not going to dance around it. How can a woman tell a man she loves him in January and betray him by December and still believe she meant it both times? I'm going to answer that with a truth most women won't admit out loud. Here's something I want you to hear from a woman, because no man can say it to you with the same weight. A woman can love you in January, feel numb in June, and become curious about another man by December. And here's the part that will mess with your head. She wasn't pretending in January. The love was real. Then the numbness was real later. The curiosity was real after that. Human feelings aren't a contract. They shift. They erode. They get bored. When you told yourself, no, she would never do that to me, you weren't being romantic, you were being naive. And in love, naivety is the most expensive thing a man can carry. It's the tax you pay for not wanting to see clearly. Now, let me cut into the part most people are afraid to talk about. The psychology of a woman who betrays. It's almost never about you. It's about what's broken inside her. Some women cheat because they're terrified of being alone in their own skin. Some are addicted to attention from multiple men because one man's love doesn't fill the hole they refuse to look at. Some carry childhood wounds nobody healed, and they use male desire like a drug to feel real for a few minutes. Some were never taught what loyalty actually means. They learned how to perform it on Instagram. They quote self-love and integrity in their captions while their thumbs are typing something else at 1 o'clock in the morning to a man whose name you've never heard. Let me ask you something honest. How many red flags did you swallow because you wanted to believe she was the one? Drop it in the comments. Not for me, for you. So you finally say it out loud. Here's the truth, bomb. You can do everything right as a man. You can provide, protect, show up, listen, plan, love her the way your father didn't love your mother, and she will still betray you. Not because you lacked something, because she was empty long before you arrived. Her betrayal is a mirror of her discipline, not a measurement of your worth. Burn that into your chest. And this is where most men walk straight into a trap. The moment you start comparing yourself to the other guy, his face, his money, his car, his followers, the second you start that comparison, you've handed your self-worth to a stranger who doesn't even know your name. You've made him the referee of your life. And here's what happens to men who never stop comparing. They become paranoid with the next woman before she's done anything. They control. They check phones. They sabotage what could have been good because they're still bleeding from a wound the new woman didn't cause. They destroy the next relationship before it has a chance to breathe. Hear me on this one and hear me clearly. She didn't leave you because you weren't enough. She left because she never learned how to stay. That's her wound, not your inventory. So now you know who she actually is underneath the curated photos and the soft texts. The question becomes, how do most men respond when the mask drops? Badly. Almost all of them. And the wrong response is the one I want to pull you away from before it ruins the next 5 years of your life. So she lied. She cheated. She replaced you like a phone screen. And something ancient rises in your chest. You want her to feel it. You want her to see you happy without her. You want her to come crawling back just so you can finally have the satisfaction of saying no. That fire is human. It's old. It lives in every man who's ever been wronged. But let me tell you what I see from the woman's side of the room. Because this is the part you can't see clearly when you're in it. We can tell. Every time you post something with a hidden message in the caption, we know it's for her. Every time you appear in a photo with another woman within 6 weeks of the breakup, we know who that photo is aimed at. Every time you suddenly become more visible, louder, more successful looking online, we feel it. And here's the cruelest part. The woman who hurt you is reading those signals as power. She's reading them as proof that she still owns a corner of your mind. Picture this man. He starts hitting the gym, but not for himself. He's training in case she sees. He goes on dates and turns them into Instagram stories before the appetizer arrives. He buys the car he couldn't justify last year so she'll know he upgraded. And then ask yourself the question that haunts every revenge plan ever built. What if she never looks back? What if she's already living, laughing, sleeping next to someone else and not thinking about you at all? Then every ounce of energy you poured into the performance was a second debt you paid to her. You let her take your past. Then you handed her your present, too. This is the truth bomb you need to hear. Peace that depends on someone else's reaction isn't peace, it's dependence. Wearing the costume of strength. Silence isn't weakness. Blocking her isn't immature. Walking away without a final speech, without a parting shot, without one last argument isn't soft. It's discipline. It's the rarest kind of self-control a man can have. And most men never develop it because they confuse loudness with power. Weak men get revenge through actions. Strong men get revenge through complete disappearance. They make themselves untouchable, unmentionable, unreachable. They don't trend in her memory because they removed every single hook she could grab onto. No goodbye post. No drunken texts 6 months later. No mutual friend updates. Just absence so clean it feels surgical. You don't heal by proving a point. You heal by leaving the game entirely. That's the shift. And when you finally stop trying to make her see, something strange happens. For the first time since the night you found out, your energy returns to you. Your thoughts start belonging to you again. But there's still one question waiting for you, and this is the one that decides whether you actually walked away or just changed your address. Here's the question that decides everything. Who owns your emotions right now? Because she may have caused the wound. But if she's still controlling your mood 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, you're the one keeping her on the throne. She didn't reinstall herself in your head. You left the door open. Listen to the way men talk after they've been hurt. You made me angry. You ruined my life. Because of you, I can't trust anyone. These sentences feel honest. They feel justified. but there's something dangerous hiding underneath them. Every time you say, "You made me feel this way," you're announcing to the entire universe that your emotions don't belong to you. They belong to whoever walked through your life last. Type the word control in the comments if you've just realized you've been handing the remote to someone who didn't earn it. Now let me tell you what I've seen from inside female circles, because this part will sting. Manipulative women can smell emotional dependency on a man the way sharks smell blood. They know exactly which man's mood will shift depending on how fast she replies. They know which man's day will be ruined if she posts a story with another guy in the background. When your inner weather depends on her behavior, you become a puppet. And every woman who has ever played that game knows precisely which string to pull. Here's the truth bomb. Emotional responsibility doesn't mean pretending you're not hurt. It doesn't mean turning yourself into a stone, posting cold quotes, telling everyone you don't care anymore. That's not strength, that's performance. Emotional responsibility means you say out loud, "Yes, this broke me. Yes, I loved her deeply, but I'm the one who decides how I rebuild from this moment forward." So change the question. Stop asking why she did this to you. That question keeps you sitting in the chair of the victim, waiting for an answer that will never come, and wouldn't satisfy you if it did. Start asking better questions. Why did I give one person this much power over my sense of self? Why did I ignore the small signals my gut was sending me months before the discovery? Why did I stay when something inside me already knew? These questions don't blame you. They return you to yourself. And here's the cost. If you skip this work, you'll attract the exact same kind of woman in your next 5 relationships. Different face, different voice, same chaos, because you never healed the part of you that was drawn to that flavor of dysfunction in the first place. She caused the cut, but if it's still bleeding 3 months later, that's because you refused to close it. You're picking at the scab and calling it grief. Once you take your emotions back, a new question rises. How do you protect that heart without building a prison around it? After a man gets cut deeply by a woman, he almost always overcorrects. I've watched it happen 100 times. He goes from open-hearted to bulletproof in a single night. I'll never love again. All women are the same. From now on, it's just fun. No one's getting close to me. It sounds like a man who learned his lesson, but underneath that voice, it's a scared boy trying to make sure he never feels that pain again. So let me draw a line for you, because this distinction will save the second half of your life. Walls and boundaries are not the same thing. A wall is built out of fear. A boundary is built out of clarity. A wall says no one comes in ever. A boundary says not everyone comes in, and not everyone who comes in gets to stay. A wall isolates you. A boundary filters for you. One leaves you alone for the rest of your life. The other leaves you with options. Let me make it concrete. A wall sounds like I'm done with women. I'll just keep it shallow. A boundary sounds like I'm open to love again. But I'm watching behavior. I'm watching how consistent she is when no one's looking. I'm watching how she treats waiters, how she talks about her last man, how she handles small disagreements. If something feels off, I'm not staying because I'm afraid of being alone. I'm leaving early while my pride is still intact. And here's what I see from my side of the conversation. High-quality women feel a man with real boundaries within 10 minutes of meeting him. There's something in the way he holds his time, in the way he doesn't chase, in the calm he carries. It pulls them in. And manipulative women feel that same energy and walk the other way. They don't waste their time on a man who can't be bent. Men with walls end up isolated and bitter. Men with boundaries end up selective and free. Boundaries start with one quiet belief. Your time matters, your energy matters, your attention matters, your peace matters. Not everyone deserves access to your late-night thoughts. Not everyone deserves to hear your plans for the next 5 years. Not everyone deserves your body, your money, or your softness. And here's how a real man enforces a boundary. He doesn't announce it. He doesn't post about it. He doesn't sit her down and read her a list of rules. He lives it. You feel it in how fast he walks away when someone disrespects him. You feel it in his refusal to compete for a place in someone's life. You feel it in the calm with which he detaches when his peace is being played with. A man with walls protects himself from being hurt. A man with boundaries protects himself because he finally knows what he's worth. But there's one final test ahead of you, and this is where the real men separate from the ones still pretending. There's a final layer most men never reach, and this is where I want to take you. An offense, a betrayal, a deep cut from someone you loved behaves like a hook. It wants to lodge into your soul. It wants you to revisit it, to replay the moment, the message, the face, the lie. It wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It rides in your car. It sits across from you at dinner. It becomes a roommate you didn't sign a lease with, and you feed it every time you give it your attention. Hear me on this carefully. Living above the offense doesn't mean pretending it didn't cut you. It's not the cold voice that says, I don't care, I'm over it, she's nothing to me. That voice is a costume. The real shift sounds different. It sounds like I admit this cut went deep, and I'm refusing to let it become my new identity. There's a line between two kinds of men, and I want you to feel which side you're standing on right now. One man says, this happened to me, so now I'm broken. The other says, this happened to me, but I decide what it does inside me. The first is a victim with a story. The second is a sovereign with a future. Listen to me. Life is going to bring betrayal. Women you trusted are sometimes going to hurt you. Women you loved completely might choose someone else and not look back. That's not a flaw in your design. That's just the price of loving deeply in a world full of unfinished people. Your power was never in stopping people from doing you wrong. Your power has always been in deciding who you become after they do. So there are two roads in front of you. The first road lets the betrayal harden you into a man who no longer believes in love or in himself. A man who jokes about women at dinner because he's still hemorrhaging under the table. The second road is harder and almost no one walks it. You take this pain and you use it as fuel to rebuild your life with more clarity, more discipline, more standards, more self-respect than you had the day before she walked in. She wrote one chapter in your story. One. Not the whole book, not the ending. One chapter. And here's the line I want you to carry out of this video. You can't control what she did to you, but you have always controlled what that story will mean inside your life. That's the part she'll never get to take from you. So, let me bring this home. Her betrayal wasn't the end of your story. It was the moment the real one began. You walked through identity collapse and you survived it. You stopped expecting people to be flawless and started seeing them clearly. You let go of revenge before it ate you alive. You took back your emotions from someone who didn't earn them. You learned the difference between a wall that buries you and a boundary that protects you. And now you're standing in front of the final choice, the one that decides everything. A man doesn't become better by becoming bitter. He becomes better by refusing to let the worst thing that happened to him write the rest of his life. The pain you're carrying right now isn't a prison, it's a door. And whether you walk through it or sit in front of it for the next 10 years is the only decision that actually matters. You don't have to become the man no woman can ever hurt. You have to become the man no wound can ever keep. If anything in this video cut through and landed somewhere real in you, don't let it slip away in silence. Drop one word in the comments. Rising. Just that. So I know which men chose the second road. Share this video with the man in your life who's sitting in the dark right now, scrolling through old messages from someone who already moved on. Subscribe and stay close because the truths I'm bringing into the next videos are the ones most women will never say out loud. And you deserve to hear them from someone who knows both sides of the door. She wrote one chapter of your life. You write the next one. Not bitter.